We've seen protests for and against abortion rights nationwide this week in light of a leaked draft opinion from the U.S. Supreme Court. It suggested that the court may overturn the landmark Roe v. Wade decision on abortion. Now, we still don't have a final decision from the court, but multiple legal experts say overturning Roe could lead to other rights being restricted or taken away completely. Here's KVUE's Mike Marut.
Throughout the week, I talked to University of Texas law professor Steve Vladeck, who specializes in constitutional law and the Supreme Court, UT law professor Elizabeth Sepper, who specializes in reproductive rights and the laws surrounding them, and University of Michigan law professor Leah Littman, who clerked for former Justice Anthony Kennedy and now specializes in constitutional law and federal courts. I asked each what happens if this draft opinion is final.
Overnight, that will return the question of whether to protect any abortions to the states.
So for essentially almost the entire South, the Midwest, the mountain states would have criminal prohibitions on abortion go into effect.
One possible implication is for other rights that are grounded in, the due process clause and are protected because they fall within the right to privacy.
According to these scholars, Roe v. Wade's focus on privacy helped shape other court rulings. So if it goes away,
seems like the right to contraception is on the chopping block. But so are many of the rights protecting LGBTQ civil rights, like marriage equality, Obergefell versus Hodges, or Lawrence versus Texas, which held that states can't prohibit consensual sexual relationships between adults.
But maybe the most notable part of this draft for these experts, it includes language relying on what's explicitly in the Constitution and, quote, deeply rooted in our history and tradition, end quote, referencing the 1800s.
One issue is that you can think about abortion not as about a right to abortion, but rather as about a right to privacy. And that right does seem to be deeply rooted in our history and tradition.
What the court is saying is that it's not specifically mentioned in the Constitution. So Congress could try, if it wanted to enact a federal statute, protecting the right to an abortion, but there's no guarantee that the Supreme Court would uphold that statute as constitutional.
And if this draft opinion is finalized as is, Sepper says there's a major missing piece.
What is clearly missing from Justice Alito's opinion is any sense of women in 2022. We don't exist in the opinion outside of a paragraph on the fact that we can vote.
In Austin, I'm Mike Marut.
Thanks, Mike.